you for having us at this fireside. We're excited to be here, a big part of the Starfish International families here. We're excited to share our work and also excited to learn from you all and to hear your questions at the end. I am the co-founder of Starfish International. It's a girls' education program in the Gambia in West Africa. And we've been in existence for the past 10 years. And the goal was to raise young leaders, particularly women and girls, but also boys, but mostly girls who have their self-agency and can speak for themselves. So I'm the co-founder. I'm going to be chairing this meeting. And then those who are really at the forefront of the work, I will be speaking about the work and what we've been doing in the Gambia in terms of girls' education. So that's the context. The subject is spiritual and material development coming together to form true development. That true development is a combination of both spiritual and material development. To give an overview of what material and spiritual progress coming together to make true progress means at Starfish International.
Hello everyone, my name is Fatou and I am one of the mentors at Starfish International. I've been in the program for 10 years. I was a student in high school. I was in the program for 2 years. And when I graduated high school in 2016, I came back to the community library to serve as a mentor. I'm very happy to be here today, and I would like to give an overview of what material and spiritual progress means to us at Starfish International. So what we've been doing for the past 10 years has been investing in young people. And this investment includes looking at their academic progress, exposing them to business and entrepreneurship skills, giving them public speaking opportunities. But a very essential part of our work has been the character development program. And we wanted everything that we provide at Starfish International to be anchored on this principle of spiritual progress, because at the end of the day, we want to produce leaders who, when they assume offices and they're in leadership positions, will not only look at how they can materially develop their communities, but will also be conscious of the actions that they take and how they're impacting the people that they are supposed to serve. So the Gambia is, kind of like termed as a developing country. And if you look at it materially, we have a long way to go. But spiritually, I feel like we have a lot. And we know that we can use that lot to be able to produce leaders who will embody virtues and spiritual qualities that will change so many systems that right now we are frustrated with. So for the past 10 years, about 700 plus students have been through the program. And the orientation has been, helping them, yes, excel in school, to be great public speakers, to be community servers, but we have never forgotten the importance of virtues and who they are as people. Because we know at the end of the day, the generation that we are looking at right now is going to be that generation that is going to be leading our communities. And if we want to see a change in the things that we are not happy about, if we want to see a change in the things that we are not happy about, we need to start doing things differently. So instead of just focusing on people having A's in schools, having big businesses, we also need to look at what kind of human beings are being produced as they're given opportunities and skills to go lead in our communities. So basically, I think Starfish has so many components, but today we are going to focus on the material and spiritual progress and how we've had initiatives in the past to support this principle at Starfish. Thank you for listening.
So I hope that the technology cooperates and you were able to hear much of what Fatou had to say just to introduce the topic. Is everyone hearing okay? Spiritual and material development is one of our principles at Starfish. So Hadi, please go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I am Hadi, and I'm a mentor at Starfish International. I was a student for 6 years, and I graduated in 2018, and I decided to come back and serve as a mentor. So one reason, I will quote from our youth declaration, which says, material progress for all people is not attainable if we don't achieve spiritual progress. I basically think at Starfish International, we don't want to raise young leaders who think about the material world, how the material world will be there for them, but also think about their spirituality. So anything we do in Starfish, because one of our core pillars is service to humanity, anything we do in Starfish, we make sure that we do it to help our community to progress materially and spirituality. And recently, I think most of the social actions we take that are based on moral principles to serve our communities, we look at them from a concept to contribute to the various discourses of society. Like before we are going to raise leaders that are going to raise atomic bombs or bring wars around or disunity around the world, Starfish approach has always been raise young leaders who are ready to serve to their utmost best and also bring unity and peace among the world, because we believe that mankind is the one planet for everybody, and our way of service has always been loving people and serving them to your utmost best. I think it's basically raising young leaders who will serve the world to their utmost best with both balancing their material and spiritual journey together. Thank you.
So I'm just using the microphone moving forward. That way it's easier for everybody. We could talk about material and spiritual development in terms of the world, in terms of other people. I think it would be fair to start with the country that we're in, why this is important to us on a grander scale than just the program that we're in, and where the Gambia is in terms of material and spiritual development as we see it as citizens. I'm going to have Mariama talk a little bit about that. Where is our country in terms of material and spiritual development as we're talking about it?
Okay, hello everyone. I am Mariama Dabo, and I'm also one of the mentors at Starfish International. I was a student in the program for 6 years, and I graduated in 2017 and came back to serve as a mentor in the program. So currently I am raising students who are going to school and having small businesses, and are also part of our mentorship and character development program. So our state of being when it comes to material and spiritual progress, I think it's not 100%, but we are glad that every single day we're doing what we can to at least attain material and spiritual progress. I think Fatou has said that the Gambia is a developing country, and we are developing in all areas of our lives. But one thing that is unique about the country is how kind and hospitable the people is. And I feel like that is a part of spiritual progress, the ability to be able to be kind to other people. So when you come to the Gambia, okay. So one thing that is unique about the Gambia is how kind and loving everyone is. So usually when a stranger or a foreigner comes to the Gambia, everyone is so loving and caring. They will usually host you in their house, give you food to eat, and even leave their beds for you to eat on. I feel like that is a part of spiritual journey, and the fact that the country is like the people in the country are able to see other people as part of themselves is a huge part of spiritual journey. And when it comes to material progress, we are not very much developed when it comes to independence.
it's not something that we are very excellent in, but a huge part of our economy is on agriculture. So everyone works as hard as they can through farming, plants like rice cultivation, groundnut cultivation, and all the stuff that we really need to be able to stay alive. So instead of depending on other people for most of our economy, we try to do farming and use what we have to actually be independent. So I feel like material and spiritual progress, like the combination of both, is what brings success. So in the Gambia, we're still not 100% there, but every single day we work hard towards this progress. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mariama. We wanted to give just an overview and to be fair about our analysis and to also give a different view, I think. So far, we've talked about why we think that the leaders that we develop in this program to go out and build our country, why we think that it's not just degrees that they need, that they also need a spiritual foundation and values that can help them propel our country in the right direction. And then we've also looked at where the country is as a whole. And I think a lot of the time when people think about development, they talk about it in terms of material development, skyscrapers and things like that. You know, how much technology you have. And I think from this call, it's obvious that we don't have as much technology as we would like. And that when it comes to material development, the Gambia has a long way to go. However, we feel that when it comes to spiritual development, our culture, we come to the table with a head start. Our culture really values people being kind to each other. I think they've talked about how people that are not from the Gambia are treated when they come to the Gambia. Also, this idea of joy as an inherent state of the heart, that no matter how little somebody might have materially, they can still find joy. No matter how little they have, they are willing to share the little that they have and so on. And that so our view is, as a country and in the Gambia, even though we are called a developing country, we are a developing country for the most part when it comes to material development. When it comes to spiritual development, we would like to think of ourselves as first world because our culture so much values virtues. And so let's come back to the organization itself, to Starfish International, and look at how has Starfish modeled its initiatives to work from the perspective of material and spiritual progress. So it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to model our initiatives and our programs around the theme of material and spiritual development going hand in hand. So we're going to have our Cisse and Fatou take about 5 to 7 minutes to talk about our initiatives and our programs and how do they highlight this connection between material and spiritual development. Please go ahead, ladies.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Cisse, and I'm a mentor at Starfish International. I've been a student for 3 years, and then after graduating from high school, I came back to serve as a mentor. Can you guys hear me? So, like Mariama said, our work, most of it, part for us, we look at, what the community needs, and for most part of it, that's how we train our students in serving their community and not just focusing on the material part. For us, the initiative that we've been modeling this through, we have the Starfish chapters. So usually when we were starting the Starfish chapters, we did not just look at, what did they have, what are there, but we went there as people that are from the community. We did community assessment. We went there as citizens of the community, looked at what they have and how best we can serve with them. So like Madam said, using what they have to help develop the community with. So, and that has been very helpful for us because with that, students, we can, even without us, they can still run the project, the team that we've started, because it's not just us. We did not just go there with our ideas. We went there and used what they have. It was not implemented by us. We used what they have, and from that we were able to help them. We also have the Starfish Health Clinic. Usually we do this every time we go out in the community. And so part of it, we just go with our doctors that we have, and we help the people. I think the joy for us is, giving that is a service to the people. We know most of the time every day this is free for people. They term it as something that is not very important, but have at least saying, okay, you paid at least a small amount, and you're going to have a health attention fund, and for that, usually they just pay $10. That is very small. It's something that everyone can afford, but also we accompanied it with the love that we show them, just being there and being kind. And I know like there are moments for even the doctors, that we even have to say, okay, you guys need to stop right now, take a break and eat. But I think that is because of the type of leaders we produce, that they don't just focus on, okay, the food, I am hungry, or this is what is happening to me right now, but also looking at, this is what the people need, and I have to be there for them, which is very important. And also another part is our Starfish, the mobile library. Usually we go out in the communities and give out books to kids. We read the books, and most of the part is very fun. For the people, we go with books, and usually in the community, that sometimes you just go and just give out books to people. But what makes it different for us? We go as a team. We go with activities, play games with them, just stay with them, read the books with them, and that is very memorable for them because they know usually people just go and give them books. But for us, we went to give them the books. We were with them, spent hours with them, played games, and we had a lot of fun. And for that, they can always remember us for that. And that was something that was very meaningful in their life. The other part is our scholarship. Usually, most organizations will just say, okay, here is a scholarship, and here it is. Go with it. But for Starfish, I think what makes it meaningful for the students is, they have to work hard for their scholarship. And it's not just them, but even their students have to also contribute. The students have to have requirements, they have to serve their communities. And you also have the parents, spending time at Starfish, helping the students, showing their support Starfish and their students, showing that, okay, you are my child, but I'm going to be here, stay with you, and still guide you through your journey. Which usually, most of them will be here with us, do their requirements, their study project. And I think that is why we have a lot of students, and they will stay through because they know they can go to any other place and have scholarship, but there is no other place like Starfish because the love is there. We're not just focusing on what they're going to get from it, but also how are we going to be there for them and guide them through their journey. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm just quickly going to add two.
You've gone to mute. Wow. Did they cut out? Right. Yeah. Farzin, are you there?
I am here and very worried.
It looks like they ran out of battery or they had a power cut.
It's really not their fault. They always have problems. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Sure. No, that's fine. I'm sure you can fill in, Farzin.
Well, I think they're coming back, hopefully.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Praise the Lord.
Farzin, can you mute yourself?
All right. So this is Fatou speaking, and I'm just quickly going to add two things that nurtured me into a spiritual being. And the first one is the mentorship program we have at Starfish International and the co-founders of the program. And I want to start with the co-founders because I was 14 when I met them. And at first it was kind of like impossible for me to believe that really they've come back to the Gambia and left, the United States, and they're here to invest in our communities, and they are not going to ask anything from us. At the end of the day, we had to work to earn our scholarships. But I was like, okay, maybe in 2 years or 3 years' time, they're going to ask for something. But here I am, it's been 10 years, and all I've seen them do is dedicate their lives to nurturing hundreds of girls every year. And so far, it's just been given to the community selflessly. And that has just been an example for me to see what selflessness can do and what service to humanity can do. And that's one of the things that I've used to, live my life by. And secondly is the mentorship program we have at Starfish International. So when we graduate high school, not all Starfish graduates come back to the library to serve, but you're given a chance to come back and to just refine your spiritual qualities. In 2013, when I came back, it wasn't just, okay, come and you're automatically a mentor. The way the program is structured is such that we truly try to see if you are in for community service and that you don't really expect anything from it. When we started, it was 7 of us, and today I am so proud to say that I am here with, mentors that were my students, and they've seen how we've served our communities, and they've seen the impact. And today they're here, not really asking anything from Starfish International, and they're working 7 days a week, all hours if possible, and giving back to our communities without asking for anything. And for me, that has been the beauty of what we've been doing at Starfish. And hopefully in the next 10 years, I think our communities are going to transform into better places.
All right. So as we're going on, you can don't panic if you don't understand our accents. I, for one, I grew up in the Gambia speaking about 4 languages and then learning English, but British English, and then going to college in the US and in the South in the US. So I always say I have a Gambian accent with a little bit of British accent, an American accent, and a Southern American accent. So if you don't understand us, don't panic. By the end of the conversation, we will come back around and the main points should be clear to everybody. As far as the slides that we're sharing, we're hoping that supplements the technology. So you can't see our faces sometimes, but we're sharing the slides so you can actually see the work, even if you can't understand some of the conversation or the volume. So just bear with us. It's one thing to talk about material and spiritual development in terms of our countries, in terms of our communities, in terms of our culture. It's another thing to look at the impact that such an orientation might have on young people in the Gambia who are poised to be the leaders of this country. And so since all the young people went through Starfish as a program, and since the orientation of the program is around material and spiritual development going hand in hand, I just wanted to invite some of them to share what impact has such an orientation in their leadership training had in their lives. How do they see themselves as different young people from maybe others that they're growing up around? And what has been the impact of the program and this orientation of the 2 modes of development, both spiritual and material, going hand in hand? So I'll just hand it over to them so some of them can share how do they see they're different because of this orientation of I can't just develop materially, I also need spiritual development right alongside it.
Hello everyone, my name is Rene Mosise. I'm the media coordinator here at Starfish International. So I will go back to when I newly started as a mentor in training. I was a student at Starfish for about a year. So when I came back to serve as a mentor in training, I just came to Starfish International, but didn't really have an exact idea how to serve at Starfish. So I was like, let me just go and see how I can work. I can work with these students and then see how I can help them in some way. I am in the Gambian community. It is expected that, especially if you are like the firstborn of the family, it is expected that when you go to school and when you graduate from high school, you kind of like have a job that that pays really good money, like material. You kind of like have some sort of like material success. Your parents expect you to be very successful so that you can help them out. So when I came to serve at Starfish International, as some of the pillars that Starfish International focuses on is really service. is coming to serve your community without expecting anything in return. So when I came back to serve at Starfish International, I came back as a mentor in training, and I was working with these girls. I was not getting material. I was not getting like material, some sort of like material. I was not progressing like materially, I would say, but like the amount of joy and the amount of happiness that it brings me working with these students, helping them out in their English classes, helping them out in their math classes. Like every single day when I go home, I some sort of like feel some sort of like a fulfillment inside me that today I was able to work with this particular student, and that gives me a really like calming, and like I feel like I have I impacted someone's life today, and that is like really really joyful for me. Working with these students, and like, as I went along, I was able to find out like my passion, which is photography. When I came to Starfish, like I said, I didn't really know that I was really good at photography. But as I went along in the program, I was able to discover some of my talents. And right now, as I'm the media coordinator at Starfish. So there's one thing I've learned throughout the years is that like when you give out with all your heart, I mean, the world works in a very fair way, I would say. As you give out like all your energy and all your knowledge and everything, it kind of like some sort of like miracle happens, and you receive some sort of like you receive so much. Just working with these students is something that gives me so much happiness, and I believe like this is like my true purpose. This is like my true calling, just serving my community. And material progress is important. It's important, but really understanding yourself, knowing about, learning about different virtues, serving your community. I believe that it is something that is really really going to help out to bring the Gambia in some sort of like material way. So so I have been so in general, I would say my spiritual progress have kind of like helped me to be the kind of person that I am right now. And with Starfish, I was able to discover that. So yeah.
Thank you, Rene. Yeah, so I wanted to mention that we actually shared a video that hopefully at some point we will be showcasing. And that's one of the work that Rene and the team, the media team at Starfish, were able to put together. Yeah, so personally, I'm just quickly going to share as well with regards to the impact of this principle in my life. When I graduated high school, I actually took a year off to come back to Starfish. And at this point, a lot of my friends were just going straight into the university, into getting jobs so that they could help their families. And, I just had to make this decision that, okay, at that point, I didn't quite also understand what my passion was and where I wanted to go into. So I came to the Starfish Library and I was receiving training from there. But what I realized at that point is that I reflected back on my life and the role Starfish as an organization played. And it was that because when I think about my family, where I came from, and also think about my mom, who actually got married at 15. She was taken out of school. She was married off, and then she had us. I know that she has really bigger dreams for us. And I want to change my own narrative as well. I didn't just want to stop in high school. I wanted to go as far as possible, but still I just knew that I shouldn't just shoot for the material things and the degrees and the awards. I felt that I had a bigger purpose in life. So when I came to Starfish International, I was able to find some of those purposes of mine. And one of them is actually creative writing. When I came, one of the gifts I had from the program is finding my voice and using it, because there were a lot of things I wanted to talk about, and I knew there were other, hundreds of girls like me who wanted to change things in their families, in their communities, and speak about issues that were affecting our communities. but they didn't have the training and the safe space to do it. And for me, I had Starfish International at that young age. So I felt like coming back to the library was going to, at that time, it wasn't going to give me a lot of money and fame, but I knew that it was what my community needed. The girls that I left behind in my neighborhood, in my communities, who didn't have the opportunity to come to Starfish, needed me. So I came and took the year off and got the training that I needed. And ever since I've been here, every year training 100 girls who are now back into their communities and are making changes. I've been able to do write-ups and creative write-ups that people have used to, talk about issues that are affecting our communities, like violence against women, diseases that we want to create awareness about, because some of these issues as young people, if we want to go out into the community to just talk about it, and not in a creative way, sometimes people can tend to be not open to it. So having those creative ideas and being able to use my gift that Starfish had helped me develop was really important. And I'm glad that up to this date, I can hear from students talk about, okay, if Fatou was able to do it, if she was able to go from a family that didn't believe in Western education to having a degree in the university, I can also do it. So basically, those are some of the fulfillments I have when I think about the work I am doing. And this is what my life is for now. And I think this is what it's going to be until I am no more.
So, so far, I think moving forward, I want to just revise a little bit and say that when we say material and spiritual development should go together, and that's true progress, and that you should serve without expecting anything in return, and that service is one of the virtues. We are not saying that we want to develop young people who don't make any money, who don't go after careers, and they should just be in the village, cleaning the streets and transporting buckets of water for all the people and things like that. That is not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is that every material action has a spiritual principle or underpinning beneath it. So our girls are going to school, we want them to go to college, they're going to college, and we want them beyond that to be able to go back into their communities and hold those leadership positions that will make a difference. We want them to be presidents. We want them to be secretaries of state. We want them to lead the United Nations. We want them to be Fortune 500 business women who would make money and then use that money with, like I said, a spiritual undertaking, underpinning, and that is the spiritual progress part of it. And so I just wanted them to talk a little bit about that. What is your vision for the Gambia? When you think about material and spiritual development going hand in hand, one of the things we always say is we want to produce doctors because we need more medical doctors in the Gambia, in the world. We want to produce more scientists. We want to produce more teachers. But we want those doctors who have a spiritual foundation. And we want the next scientist who will not develop the next atomic bomb, but will develop the cure for COVID or cancer, and then be able to use it justly and fairly for people who can afford it and people who cannot afford it or who come from communities that can't have access. But that does not magically happen when the person becomes a scientist. It happens when they're young. It happens when they're young and in school and getting an education and understanding that they're getting that education so that they can use it with spiritual means, so that they're walking this material path with spiritual means and spiritual underpinnings and spiritual principles. So what is your vision for the Gambia, ladies and gentlemen? What do you want to see when you look at the Gambia in terms of material and spiritual development going hand in hand?
Hello, my name is Ezra Sonko, and I'm a mentor at Starfish. The Gambia that I envision is a very peaceful country. I want people to be able to be there for each other, and then I want a country free from rape and molestation, child marriage, and corruption, tribalism, and all these things that are happening in the Gambia right now.
And as people do this, I want them to see the creation story as an example. Like when it all started with Adam and Eve, and we all came from these two people. I want people, whenever they want to do anything bad, I want them to remember these stories, and then they should know that they're brothers and sisters. They should be able to be there for each other, listen to each other, and just support each other. So the Gambia that I envision is like a very peaceful country, a country free of rape, free of all these bad things that are happening in the world right now. And all I need is people to be able to be there and support each other and see each other as one big family.
Okay, hello again.
So the Gambia that I envision, I think true progress is just the highest form of our existence. And when you look at it, we say material and spiritual progress go hand in hand, but majority of the time people define success more materially. Like they think people that are successful have cars, a lot of houses, a lot of big money and all of that. But my hope for people in the world, and especially for the Gambians, is that we are not very attached to the worldly progress, as in the worldly materials are not a priority. So that is my vision for the Gambia, that we are bent on accompanying each other and serving each other and mentoring each other to become the best version of ourselves each and every day of our life. So that people are not focused on fame or riches, but they are focused on cooperation and accompanying each other towards one goal. And also another thing that is also very important in our development as human beings is character development. I think we talked about this, but then character in terms of people doing the right thing even if no one is watching them. So if you become the next president of the Gambia or wherever you find yourself as a leader, you do the right thing, not because anyone is keeping you accountable, but you know that God is watching you and that you are a noble human being, and that is what is right, and that is what is supposed to be done. So I also want independence. I know we talk about spiritual progress a lot, but a huge part of spiritual progress also has to do with material progress. And so at Starfish, we have a lot of independent components, like we have a business center that helps the students learn skills like sewing and soap making for them to be independent. We have a media house that helps the students learn about photography. We have an art gallery that helps the students to learn painting and drawing and beading. These skills are so that the students can be independent. And I feel like independence and education are one of the ways that we can keep ourselves as girls in this community to be free. And so I also want people to join us in educating girls, because we are not at a disadvantage for most part, but we are very vulnerable to most of these things that are affecting people in the world. For example, when it comes to rape and molestation, girls are the ones to suffer a lot from it. When it comes to trafficking, when it comes to early marriage, and every other thing that are disturbing us in the world. So I also want people to really invest in girls' education. That is my hope for the Gambia, that people are not just saying boys should be the ones to be educated because they are the ones that usually stay at home and look after the compound. Girls are usually married off, so they should not go to school or attain a quality education. But my hope is that they see the girls as people that can also do as much as boys can do. And so if they're educated, they can be able to serve other people and be able to raise their children who will become truthful human beings, who will not go out and rape other people's children, but they will be the ones to raise human beings that will be their characters will be very developed. So a lot of people also tend to ask, why do we do girls' education? And for us, we feel like girls' education is the effective way to build a nation or develop a nation. And we are a true example of that, because we've been educated and now we are here serving other people and making sure they have an education. So yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Okay, so obviously they have a lot to say, and the more passionate we get, the faster we speak. I want to just talk a little bit about this idea of the qualities that we have mentioned. And I think sometimes when people talk about maybe spiritual development, it's this idea of a combining hands. Whereas I think they are forwarding these ideas in terms of, for example, independence, meaning financial independence, as well as independent thought, as well as knowledge, as well as questioning. So, like I said earlier on at Starfish International, when we're looking at material and spiritual development, we're looking at it in terms of very practical things, walking the spiritual path with practical feet. So if you say, you know, one of the virtues is independence, what does that look like within a development context? What does that look like within talking about girls who would otherwise not maybe be able to pay for school? And so what would creativity look like in terms of somebody who is unable to pay for school, or somebody who is struggling with other issues, whether it's body image issues in the West or whether it's female genital mutilation in the rest of the world? What does it look like when we're talking about child marriage? What does it look like when we're talking about depression and things like that? So these are the places where there is a connection between the spiritual and the material. To be able to talk about that without talking about the obstacles that we face in our work would be disingenuous. So I wanted to move the conversation into that part. When the idea is that maybe a person to be developed or to be considered developed should go to school, and then after school or after college, get the house, get the car, get the pet, get the 2 children, and a fence around the house, and you're set and you're happy. If that is the ideal, and then you come in and you're trying to say, okay, the ideal isn't just material, the ideal is material and spirit going together hand in hand, you are bound to face some obstacles. And so what are those obstacles? What are those tests? Not to mention the idea that you cannot talk about spiritual development without talking about tests, because tests are an integral part of spiritual development. So what are some of the tests that you have had? What are some of the obstacles that you have faced in this work?
Okay. So I would say for me personally, growing up as a status student, one of my major obstacles was going back to the community and serving, because every month we're expected to go back, do a service project, look for something in the community that you need to develop or you need changes and doing it. And for us, going to the community, most of the times you go and you take a broom and you want to clean the street. But most of the time, any action we do in the communities are backed up by spiritual principles. Like we don't just walk into the community and say, oh, this community needs cleaning, we need to go and clean it. We go there, educate the people and say, can we join together and clean this environment and make it clean? And most of the time, it's like, yes, we can clean it together, but immediately we start, there are certain people that walk by and say, oh, you don't have any work to do, your mom is at home suffering, you can go help your mom to clean the house or wash the dishes. And I'm like, oh my God, how do we educate these people at the same time, have them join our service? I know the Gambia is we are still working on our material and spiritual journey, but we have really service-oriented human beings that if you talk to them, they get up and do the action. But most of the times, it is really hard for us to communicate with these people because of the hate speeches they are going to throw around at us. But for most of the time, for status students, one of our feelings, one of the things we do is centering yourself, having inner peace at every situation or at any point in time. Most of this time is taking a deep breath before you respond back, because in the culture where we come from, as the person cannot talk and you just respond anyhow. You need to keep quiet, you don't need to look at their eyes when talking back. But courtesy is one of our pillars. You can talk back in the most respectful manner. So most of the time, if people say you need to go help your mom or you need to go do other work at home, we say it's important that we are the ones that serve and we are the ones that do this for our community. If we don't do it, nobody else will do it for us. So So we have to come together and do it so that the Gambia can develop and change. And most of the time, it's the lack of motivation too we receive from the community. Like if you see your girl child going up and cleaning or doing stuff to raise awareness or to better the environment, the thing you can do is to encourage them. But because of the society system where we come from, if somebody, they have that, we are grown up with the idea that everybody can raise your child, everybody can discipline your child. So it's important that if somebody else see your daughter or son doing something that is bad, they can always come back or punish them for what they're doing. But I think it's also like we have a very good relationship with the parents every year before we start. We talk to them, tell them the service component, and the parents do come to the library and serve with us. So the lack of motivation and the hate speech we receive from the community when doing our service are some of the obstacles I personally face as a student growing up in the program. But inner peace has always been my solution and a way of solving.
Hello. So one of the main challenges I would say I faced personally was people not understanding the work that I am doing. You know, in the beginning, of my work at Starfish International, people like my relatives, the friends of my parents, especially like when I meet with them, they tell me that you are a very smart kid. You did really well at school, and what are you doing with your life? I heard that you are working at Starfish International. Are you getting a lot of money from there? Are you helping out your parents? You know, and then I kind of like get questioned a lot, even by my parents. There are certain times that my parents would ask me, is this something that you're really getting something out of it, as in materially? But then as the years went by, I think for me, the most important people in my life, I would say, are my parents, you know, and they kind of like understood the work that I am doing, and they've seen the impact that I am making. They've seen the girls that I'm working with. They've seen the pictures that they've taken with my guidance and with my help. They've seen the videos that the media house has created. You know, I think over the years I've developed that kind of like a really stronger relationship and more respect from my parents, because as like right now, I believe that my dad respects me more. I'm helping them with the little finances that I have. So yeah, with regards to like the challenges, I would say right now, like I'm kind of like I'm kind of overcoming those challenges, but yeah, there might be still some ups and downs, but it's some sort of like a journey that I am going through, and I believe that people are getting to understand the work that I'm doing better.
Thank you. We're going to invite Auntie Yasin to come.
Well, like I said earlier, spiritual development is important, but going hand in hand with material development, it's critical. And
just in case it got lost in translation, and so that other people are willing to serve at Starfish, we are not all starving and not getting any material gain from serving at Starfish International. Actually, a commitment that we make to the mentors is that if they come to serve, their university education is paid for. So each of them, their university education is paid for, and also they have a monthly stipend. But by all means, they are not driving around in cars, each of them, and have bodyguards following them around. And yes, they are not above sweeping or cleaning the street or going out into the community and doing work that would normally not be considered appropriate for high school graduates or college students. We cannot be in education and not focus on our mentors who are running the program getting an education. And so, again, that is one of the areas in which we can showcase that spiritual can go hand in hand with material progress. You can still be here, you can still be serving. You can be making less than you might normally make, but you will get a college education out of it. You will get a stipend at the end of the month. And more often than not, you are still responsible for taking care of your family or contributing heavily to the income of your family. With that as a segue, I would like you to talk about, now that we've talked about the challenges, to talk about the triumphs. What are you proud of? What are the meaningful accomplishments that you have had as a Starfish student and now a Starfish mentor?
I remember growing up as a student most of the time, being taught about service to humanity and practicing it as an attitude. For most families, it becomes a habit for people. And I would say basically for me, I remember most of the time, like even in the little things that I do in my life, like most of the time, I'm like, okay, even if I am in a rush, but when I see somebody who really needs help, I'm always like, okay, this person needs help at this particular moment, let me just be there for them. And for that, I think what that taught me is more of like being selfless, not always thinking about myself, what are my needs and what I need at this particular time, but always thinking about, okay, what does this person need, and spending time with this person, how it can help them, especially in their life. And for us, I think one of our accomplishments would be producing service-oriented students, and this is everything that they do, because they learn it as Starfish and they practice it as Starfish. It becomes a daily habit for them. So in every day their lives, even at their homes, even right now in COVID-19, they do service project at their homes. Let's say they're doing dishes at their homes, even at their day, for people to wash their hands, stay healthy. They're also organizing children's classes, and they're doing this through kids are coming at their homes, but also they're still practicing social distancing at their home. They're not going to school, but they're still thinking about, well, what can I do to help my people at this time that I'm not going to school or I'm not going anywhere. The other thing too, I would say, one of our students, given that she's a teenager, going to school, she was, because she's independent, she was able to do a small business, and even with that, the little amount of money that she was able to make, she was able to take her younger sibling to school. And that is not focusing only about, okay, what can I make, but also what, with the little that I have, how can I help my younger sibling and take her to school, which is a solution for us for most part of it. And the other thing, I know Fatou talks about this, but I think it's very important that kind of people that we produce, especially having the mentors come back. So given that we have over 700 students, even though we don't have most of them here, but given that where we started having 7 mentors, and now we have about 25 mentors that are here working. But even though we have the different people we have in different sectors, even though they're not here with us, but we can still, like we usually say, the changes, if we want to make changes in the different sectors, we have to be there ourselves. But even though all of us are the few people we have in these different sectors, they're all making changes there, and which gives us hope that we can make the Gambia the dream that we want to. We can always change the Gambia like we want to, like the previous speakers have said. So these are some of our accomplishments that we have to find that makes us proud and also motivates us to work harder and harder all the time, so we can serve our people and still be there for them. Thank you all for listening.
Hello. For me, when I joined the program newly, like I realized I struggle with a lot of things. Like I don't easily practice like the service to humanity thing. Like I know I help people, but I don't see it as a priority. But after joining the program, I realized that service is something. I realized that service is something really that is very important in my life. And I like doing things for people is something that, like putting a smile on people's face is something that I'm really like, it's something that gives me joy. Like after I joined the program, Starfish has really helped me on my personal growth, even the way I interact with people at school, at home, and even my community people. And I must say, like, through the service work I have been doing, people have like recognized me, because when we go out into the community to do community sensitization, I know most people in the community don't understand English, but when we go there to serve them, we are able to do drumming, music and dance in the local languages, and we are able to do theater in the local languages. And when we do these acts in the languages that they understand, we are able to connect with these people. So anytime that I do, most of the time I will meet with some people on this, they'll be like, she is the drummer girl and all that. So that is something that I'm really so proud of. And I must say, because of the drumming, like, it has really brought a lot of connections for me. And I think now when I do things for people, like one of the things that brings joy in my heart is like doing service to people. And I think Starfish have really strengthened my love for service. And I hope and pray that God give me the strength to keep on serving people, and my community people and the students that are at Starfish.
All right. Thank you, Hadige. And I also wanted to add a few other things that I think are accomplishments for us during the course of the 10 years that we've been serving. And this includes our media house that we have established and running, and all our activities are being documented by the mentors and the students that we have produced in the program. And right now they are kind of like representing Starfish and advertising our work. So that is an accomplishment for us. And secondly, we also have the skills center. If you looked at the slides, we had students in uniforms, and those were our skill center students, and they are the part of the program that comes every day to learn skills like sewing, cookery, and crocheting. And so that is an accomplishment for us, because we just established it as a school component of Starfish, and it's been a year and a half, and it's still working, and we're sustaining it. And thirdly, we have the library, the community library, and we started this since 2009 when the program was in being. And until today, every day, the library actually serves up to 60 people, and we have the teenagers who come and benefit the classes. We have the kids program, about 30 to 40 kids on campus every day who benefit from free classes as well. We also have an adult literacy program that is going on, and it's been very successful. So that is the library component. It's open, 2 days, Monday to Saturday, and people in the community can come and check books out and read them. And like I also explained, we have expanded the library to having a mobile library where we go into communities, read to kids, talk to them about issues, and also donate books as well. We also have our mental health, our health program. And I know this has also been mentioned, but we have this in the form of the clinics that we are doing in the communities. And because we have alumni that are doctors and nurses, and we also have a peer health club, we've been able to go out into our community, accompanied by doctors, of course, to be able to provide some services in medicine and health. So that has also been going very well. And especially during this pandemic, it has also been very successful, and we've been able to do some research to prepare our students and to equip them with the knowledge they need to also protect their families and their communities. We've also acquired our land. If you know anything about Starfish, one of our ultimate goals is to be able to have a boarding school. And in this school, we want to enroll students, girls most especially, who come from financially challenged families. And about a year ago, we actually got that land, and right now it's being developed. We have cashew trees and mahogany and mangoes, and we are developing the land basically. But the ultimate goal is to be able to establish a boarding school and enroll Gambian girls who would be nurtured from preschool to graduate school. And so it's been a big accomplishment after 10 years of working hard to be able to acquire that land and do something with it. We also have been partnered with 5 schools, and we have partnerships with universities in the US. We have our chapters in the Gambia. So Starfish is currently located in the West Coast region of the Gambia, but we have chapters, the mentors have many Starfishes in different regions of the country,
and we are hoping that these mini Starfishes can also be developed as well. So these are some of our meaningful accomplishments, and we're very happy to share with you. Thank you.
All right. It's been an honor facilitating and chairing this discussion. As the co-founders, David and I's dream was always that 10 years later, we could sit back and relax and have them speak for themselves and show themselves for who they were and what they were capable of. And to me, and for me, this is the best example of material and spiritual development coming together to bring about true development. To be able to look at these young ladies and gentlemen, to be able to say, look, ordinarily maybe if you just looked at material development 10 years ago, they'd be looked at as, oh, these kids from the smallest country in Africa with not many material means, what are they going to be able to do in the world? To look at them 10 years later and see them as university students and university graduates who are not just pursuing development for themselves, but are now able to go into the community, and they are, with alumni like them, doctors in the community, to be able to look at what the community members need and to offer that service for no other reason but for God's sake. And to be able to do it in all kinds of different areas, to be able to do it in education, in health, in business, in service, in public speaking, in any area that you can think about, to have radio programs, to have a Facebook page that they maintain, to have volunteers that come and they lead the charge in helping those volunteers do service in this country, is to say that the smallest country in Africa, the Gambia, can be moved from being termed an underdeveloped country to becoming a first world country in every sense of the way, not just in the model that the West provides, but in a bigger and new model, which is, have we developed leaders, the young people that we produce and nurture, do they understand that their material development is steeped in principles of spirit, and that they can, in fact, take care of themselves and their families while at the same time taking care of their communities and the world for no other reason but for God's sake.
The Universal House of Justice, in one of their recent letters, they talked about capacity building, and capacity building having to do, development. In the development world, we use a lot of we use the word a lot, capacity building. But in the Baha'i context, what it really means is that the people have these qualities and these virtues in us, that God has put all of his names and attributes in all of us, in each of us, and that really the job of education and why it is so central to our development is to take out those gems, to mine those gems. It's not us pouring stuff into people, it's them having the capacity. For example, it says in the writings that art is a capacity that we all have. So when somebody says, oh, I'm not an artist, I don't have that capacity, Universal House of Justice and the Baha'i writings tell us that's not true. You have art in you. It's about how do we bring it out and how do you express it. Maybe I express art in cooking. Maybe I express it in babysitting. Maybe I express it in painting, but it is a quality of God that I'm endowed with inherently. Just like nobility is a quality of God that I'm endowed with inherently. I am a queen by virtue of the fact that God created me. It has nothing to do with whether I'm in the smallest country in Africa in a village. And when education is able to help people understand this, then capacity building becomes just shining those gems, right? Unearthing those gems and shining those gems. Nobody said it was going to be easy. It's just that it is. It is what it is. And so that is the work at Starfish. Consistently, we have to have the humility of understanding that we are not doing this. We're being used as instruments to shine those gems. They're already there. We will find the artists. We will find the doctors. We will find the lawyers. We just have to remember that we are not the ones doing it, right? And that is the blessing of it. As I sit here, I know that I'm a better human being and I've given them much less than they've given me. And so I have a responsibility to continue no matter what the obstacles are. So thank you very, very much for your comment.
Thank you for letting us give you a glimpse of how we try to live these qualities, this idea and this ideal that material and spiritual development equal true progress. This is just a glimpse. We hope you can all come and visit us at Starfish International and serve right alongside us. So thank you very much.